Welcome to Midlife, everybody. Woo! It's been a week. We are here. We are slowing down. We were just talking about this before we hit record. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest today. You can see she's a radiant being of light already. Welcome to Midlife, the search for meaning in the middle. For y'all who don't know, I'm your host, Lisa Stedman. Today we are joined by actress, writer, producer, and sacred sensuality and liberation coach, Diahnna Nicole Baxter. I got some fun facts, but I want to welcome you first.
Thank you. It's so good to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about this conversation. And
I am too.
where it goes.
Oh, yes. All right. So let's dive into some fun facts because they are epic and amazing. Diahnna co-created, co-wrote, and starred in the first web series to win an Emmy Award. She is a ruthless storyteller who addresses trauma as an opportunity for transformation through storytelling. She is a certified Kundalini yoga teacher. I watch just your essence and energy and being on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, teach me, girl. And she also is one of 6 talented actors in my short film, Tainted Love, which we filmed in August. We're now in post-production on. So Diahnna, welcome to Midlife. Woo, what a journey.
Thank you. And welcome to Midlife. That statement in itself, right? It doesn't feel like you're welcoming at first. But yeah. I'm so grateful that you actually created this space because I don't think that we have enough spaces to speak about this. I mean,
yes.
In my mother's time, they didn't speak about it at all in that way. So things have been changing, which is good, but to really have a safe space to explore this is so needed. So thank you.
We got to talk about it all because I feel like there's no playbook for midlife. I feel like there's a playbook for like, this is what love and marriage and dating and babies, like, you know, we know how to throw a baby shower. We know how to throw a bridal shower. We know how to go to a wedding, but nobody says, this is midlife. You got some gray hairs, you got some wrinkles, you got some aches and pains, you got some this or that, some belly bloat. Maybe you're up at night and nobody really talks about it. And someone said to me the other day, oh, I feel like we're talking about it now. And I was like, well, I think there's 2 things happening. One, I think we're talking about it because now we're midlife. So of course we're talking about it with our friends. I do think there has been a shift culturally where it's more open to be talked about, which I love. And we're going to get into that today, but I want to start with your acting journey, which has been incredible to witness. You've been on hit TV shows like Scandal, True Blood, Jane the Virgin. I saw you recently on American Crime Story and literally jumped off the couch. I was like, yes, because I didn't know you were in it. And I was like, yes. So I would love to hear from a fellow artist, how did acting find you, or how did you find acting?
Wow. So acting found me really in high school. You know, you
Ooh.
hear these stories about people who are like, I used to watch TV and I knew I'd be on the screen. No, I wanted to be a lawyer. Then I wanted to be a professor. Like it was not in my radar. And it wasn't something that was in my family. Like that's always been considered a pipe dream. So it was never like close to my reality of thinking of it as a path. So in high school, I had just moved from Minneapolis to San Diego. So I was the new kid on the block. I didn't know anybody. And I just dove into my studies. But the group of people that I felt most seen by were the drama kids.
Yes.
And so I remember I went to 2 different high schools in San Diego. But the first one, they were casting for The Crucible. And I auditioned, and at first they were like, oh, we really want to give you the lead, but we can't. The only role for you in this is Tituba, who is the slave in The Crucible. And I refused to play that part because I had a lot of issues, obviously, as a Black woman. And I was angry because I'm like, what do you mean I can't have the lead even though...
Right. Did you say that?
We got to remember this. No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I think I spoke up something around it not being fair. But anyhow, so that was my first taste of like auditioning and being around in the sandbox of another, I want to say spirit. I really consider acting as almost a spiritual experience. And so after that, there was some other plays, and I got involved in being on that stage. There was something about being on stage and stepping into the shoes of another life that felt so freeing to me. And eventually, I'm going to skip some years here. We've got a lot of
Yeah.
years to cover, but eventually I got into college. I was at Duke. And even when I was applying for colleges, I really wanted to go to Yale. And it was like, oh, well, either you choose the drama program or, liberal arts.
Okay.
But you couldn't do both. And at that time, it still was like, and mainly my grandparents, like, that is a pipe dream. What are you talking about? You're not going to make any money. You're going to live off of bagels and water the rest of your life. And so I still didn't choose it. But while I was at Duke, I would still like write my own monologues. They would have auditions there. And even though I wasn't part of the drama program, I was still a part of some of the productions. And those kids didn't really like me too much because they were like, she doesn't even know the classics and she's writing these weird
Ah,
things and performing her own things on stage. This is going to tie into
you
something.
were the rebel. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Always.
So, long story short, when I was at the end of my time at Duke, I was offered a full-blown scholarship to go on and get my master's to PhD, fully paid for. And I had applied for a Fulbright scholarship. And but I still really wanted to go to New York City and train.
Wait, what was the master's and PhD going to be in?
That would have been I was a double major in literature and African American studies, minor in
Oh,
women's studies. So everything revolved around marginalized voices of women of color, which
okay.
is still a lot of the work I do in the world. But
Yes, it is.
that was the professor route. I would have
Okay.
gone on to basically be a professor. And so, I said, God, I don't even think I was saying God then. I had a lot of issues around that too. Spirit, whatever I said. And I was like, if I get this Fulbright, then I will know that that is the path I'm meant to take. I'm going to continue on. I'm going to say yes to this scholarship. I'm going to be a professor. If I don't get the Fulbright, I'm going straight to New York City. And so here we are having this conversation. I did not get the Fulbright. And I had the Fulbright itself, my pitch to them, it was going to be in Morocco. Because Morocco at the time was
Oh,
the only country that's why am I not thinking of it? That had a separate part for women's rights within their, let's call it their constitution. So I was like, this is so
okay.
interesting. And at the time, the West portrayed Muslim countries as like these abusive countries towards women. And I
Right.
had studied abroad in Cairo at the time. So anyways, so that's kind of what got me on the path. And then I went to New York City and I started training. And what acting became for me was therapy. I know that sounds so selfish, but it did.
No, I get it. That's what writing is for me.
Yeah, because I was able to step into the shoes of like these women who had been through so much. And I was able to access parts of me that I would never let anybody else see. And it was a way for me to transmute my own trauma by
Yes.
using their voice, which became my voice, right? Yeah, and acting is very sensorial. It is embodiment work. So it was, yeah.
I'm so glad you said that. I saw Uzo Aduba recently at the Power Women Summit in Hollywood speak on a panel. So there were a bunch of really accomplished female actresses on this panel. I could not take my eyes off her because she was talking about this and everything that came out of her mouth. She was channeling wisdom. And what you said about acting connected to spirit and what you've said about how acting has allowed you to access and work through trauma, I feel like that's what art can do. It's definitely what writing has done for me. I think I became a writer because I wasn't comfortable saying things out loud. Now you can't shut me up. But back in the day, it was like my secret thing that I did, and I'm so grateful for these outlets because I feel like, Oprah, I scroll on Instagram way too much, but I saw a clip of Oprah saying like she didn't need therapy because the show was her therapy. And I feel like that's what art can do. I mean, therapy is great too, but like, I love what you're saying. I love what you're saying about embodying embodiment and spirit, because having worked with you twice now, we worked on a project called Stripped, which is a creative project that we collaborated with our mutual friend Christina Dunbar on. And then recently on Tainted Love, about the gray area of human versus AI companionship. I have witnessed you get into character, and the questions you ask, the intentionalism that you bring to it. And I have to tell you, like, my husband Lewis and I, did the food styling. So he was on set, but he wasn't there for the outdoor scenes that you and John filmed.
Mm.
So when he watched those scenes, he was crying. He was like, I didn't see this happen. And this is what the story's about. And Diahnna, I texted you this, when I watch you embody this character, and I've seen you do it before, it's mesmerizing. You have such talent, and it comes from spirit. Like, you are not putting it on, you are channeling.
Thank
It's so
you.
beautiful.
Thank you. Yes. And thank you for Tainted. I mean, I think I shared this with you. It was, well, I loved the script, and you're an incredible writer.
Thank
And
you.
that story is so not even in it's leading, right? It's
Yes.
leading what we're coming into, and asks really big questions within a really beautifully told story. But
Questions
going
about
back to
AI, the
the script,
implications of companionship that's not human. What does it mean to love a flawed human versus a perfect robot? Those kinds of questions.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but for me, that role, JoJo, oh,
Mm.
I get
Even
emotional.
the name, you're so JoJo.
I was like, oh, JoJo. I was like, oh, I love me some JoJo. Um, what really hit me with her was something I've been moving through in midlife as an unpartnered, childless woman, was the loneliness. Like when I really sat with why she took the route to
Yes.
choose a, I can't give everything away, but why
Yeah.
she took that route, and really sat with that and what it is to long for companionship, and what it is to be in midlife, and also her dreams, right? The fact that she
Yes.
was able to, she's an artist,
She's a
she's
smart woman.
successful, gets her, her retreat
Yeah.
property, and I was just like, oh my god, I love her. But it really hit home for me in a deeper way. She taught me a lot, um, around what is the truth of what we're really desiring.
Yes. And your questions helped me deepen into her. I had written her in a way that was beautiful, but in casting you and discovering her, I used to flippantly joke that the best way to do the pandemic was as a middle-aged married lady, because I actually got to spend time with my husband, who used to travel for work. And like, I used to joke about it very flippantly. And then I talked to a lot of people who were single during the pandemic. And I was like, don't joke about that, girl, because you were lucky that that was your circumstance. And so one of the things you and I really connected on for JoJo was part of her choice in choosing an AI companion was she was alone in the pandemic, and she was caring for an elderly parent. And putting myself in those shoes, of course you would choose a protector companion. Of course you would choose someone who would make your dreams come true, because doing it on your own, it hadn't worked. But she had to be smart enough to understand that, to make her AI companion who she needed him to be. So she's really the mastermind. And that's what I loved about what we discovered together, is I was like, oh, she's the mastermind.
Yes, yes, I love that too. And something else about JoJo, which she really, like I said, certain roles for me are so healing, is that I lost my granddaddy, who was like my
Yes.
everything, and my father in May. And so when I'm sitting with JoJo and I'm having these memories of my father and going on these long walks at night with him, and there was just so many layers to her that no, not the same as me, but really allowed me to access those spaces in myself that were similar and that experienced the loss, experienced the loneliness, still brilliant, have big dreams and want to. And I was just like, ah, and you gave me JoJo was the first time on screen for me where I felt like I was given the opportunity to be in a role where I felt sexy, that I was able
Ooh,
to be in my sensuality.
which is such a big part of who you are as a woman. That's how I see you express that through your coaching and through your work outside of acting. And so and what a treat that I opened that door for you, because it's such a door for me. I'm like, are you kidding? So I hope you get more opportunities like that, because I've seen how you've embodied the strong Black woman. I've seen how you've embodied so much on film. And there's this other side of you that you embody in other ways and places in your life that needs to come to the screen.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. It was
My pleasure. This conversation reminds me, have you by any chance seen the movie Jay Kelly yet?
just watched it. Was it last night?
Okay.
Was it last night? The night before.
I watched it over the weekend. What you're talking about accessing the loss of your grandfather, reminds me of the Billy Crudup scene in the diner or wherever, or the bar, where he's
Mm-hmm.
reading the menu. And I was like, that's acting.
Mm-hmm.
So to witness you and then to just watch that scene, because I had heard on a podcast like Billy Crudup should get a nominated for that, but it's such a small part. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, I get what they're talking about. Like, it was masterful, and you are masterful. How do you prepare for those things? Like, you've talked about the importance of embodiment. You've also talked about connecting for JoJo specifically with the loss of your own loss. So what does preparation look like for you in general as an actress? Because you're just so masterful. I want to learn.
Yeah, well, thank you, darling. Well, my training really is rooted in method. So Strasberg, Stanislavski, Strasberg. However, that was really through my 20s and early 30s. Method can almost re-traumatize you in some ways. So if I was, let's give an example with JoJo. If let's say, when I'm talking about my father, when JoJo's talking about her father, in method, it would say you need to think about Diahnna needs to think about her grandfather in order to bring that into the scene.
Okay.
But if this is a role where I am playing a survivor of sexual assault, let's say, and say I am a survivor of that, I'm not going to go back to that memory, bring it into a scene. It can re-traumatize you. So, but
Ah,
does that make any sense?
yes, it
And
does.
eventually, if you keep returning to the same memory, it doesn't have the same. It's like when you name what's that saying? It's like name what you're feeling, and then it takes away some of that, right? If you name it,
Yes.
then it kind of
Yes.
dissipates. So what I found with method, and also just having some really egotistical like teachers in method over the years, it was damaging for me.
Okay.
However, I'm so grateful for it as a foundation. So later on, it's still some parts of method I'll pull out of the toolbox. But I will say one of my biggest influence as far as mentorship and training would be Diana Castle from the Imagine Life. And she has a totally different approach. For her, it's like your imagination is more powerful than anything. So
Mm,
she doesn't like dub, we don't believe in taking from our personal lives. That's already in you, right?
right.
It's already in you. Certain things are going to already start to percolate in the body with a certain role because you've lived some of these experiences in one way in some spectrum. But for instance, when I have roles and I have a child, I've never had a child,
Right.
right? I can't pull that from my personal life, or I'm not going to think about my little niece. It's just not how I work. But what I'll do is I'll sit let's say the script says, let's say my child goes missing, and in the script, I'm questioning the police, like, why aren't you doing more? Right? In order for that child to be real to me, even if that child is 15 years old now in the script, I get to sit with the memory of what happened when I first like heard the child's heartbeat in my womb.
Yes.
Like eyes open, just
Ooh.
you know, when you daydream and like, oh, what that felt like. What are the dreams and visions I had for this baby boy who's now. So when I'm talking about him in the scene, I'm actually it's not just coming from a place of where is he? It's like no, there's a relationship with the spirit of that child, and I've already created memories, living memories in my body about that child, right? So it's you use your imagination in a different way, which
That's
opens up different spaces
amazing.
in you. Does that make any sense?
It makes total sense, and it feels like such fertile ground to play in. Those are the words that are coming through. I love
Yeah,
that.
like even with JoJo, I was like, oh my God, Lisa, you gave me so much yummy like material to work with in the written word because the words are the gateway, right? To
Yes.
these vast worlds. And I was like, oh my God, I just came back from Italy. Now,
Mm.
Gianna's never been to Italy, but
Right,
I can
right.
imagine
But I felt you.
right? I can imagine being with my partner and we're looking for the perfect land. And what did it smell like on that property? And how did I feel the moment I stepped foot on it? It's like, so we get to choose like what ingredients we're using from the imagination in order to bake the cake to bring to the
What
present.
play? I love the playfulness that's embodied in that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. All right. So I think I heard Meryl Streep one time say that the year she turned 40, she got offered 3 witch parts to play witches 3 times that year. She turned them all down. And I feel like things have changed. I feel like as female filmmakers are telling more of their stories in midlife, we're seeing more realistic portrayals of the midlife woman. But what do you love about embodying the midlife woman on screen?
I feel like there gets to be more roles for us, period, even though
Hmm.
that has changed over the years. We see a lot. It used to be, I remember when I first moved to LA, I think it was 26, and I was having meetings with some pretty big agents, and they were like, oh, you're a little too old. You should have came here right out of high school. And I'm like, too old, you know? So
Damn.
the game has
Can't turn
changed.
back the clock.
Right, right. Well, that and it's like 26, too old. Like
Yeah,
25,
right?
the brain just finished developing, right? But that was a
Shit.
different time, even in right. So now you see a lot
Right.
more roles for women 40 plus. Thank God. And for women of color, thank God.
Yes.
But I would say that the roles that I have gotten in midlife, they just seem to be more textured. There's more life that's been lived within the role itself, even if it's like a supporting or guest star, what have you. There's more imagination to play with because there's been more lived experience with this woman.
Yes.
And it's
And
funny
not
that
just playing the one note, right? Not just like the hot, flashy midlife angry lady, but like the nuances of that. One of my favorite movies is Friends with Money. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's got Frances McDormand, and I loved this even before I was midlife. Frances McDormand plays this wife. I mean, it's a bunch of friends with money, hence the title, but she's angry. She's angry the entire movie and nobody understands why. And they're all like, why is she so angry? Her life is so good. And the whole movie, I'm rooting for her. I'm like, yeah, girl, be angry. But I don't know why I'm rooting for her. Now that I'm midlife, I'm like, she's fucking perimenopausal or menopausal and doesn't know it. So she doesn't know how to give words to what she's feeling.
mm-hmm.
But she's not playing at one note. She's not like hot, flashy, ragey. She's having this continuum of like, I'm frustrated and dissatisfied in my life and I don't have words for it. So I'm going to act out and I'm going to be inappropriate and I'm going to say the wrong thing and do the wrong thing. And it's so beautifully embodied, to use your words. So I love this idea that we're exploring the midlife woman beyond whatever that one note used to be.
Yeah, and we get to explore it even more, right? I think that even in our like off screen, I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and she was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I'm like acting out of character. I'm snapping on people. I'm da da da. And I was like, "Well, have you ever considered that? Yes, there's some hormonal imbalance going on, right? But sometimes, like, and I know there's been studies on this and what have you, and I'm not that familiar with them, but intuitively, I really think there's something that happens in midlife for women specifically, where what others would consider rage, I consider sacred rage. I think there comes this fire, if we even think of the heat, it's
It's
this
fire.
fire that's coming because you're not, your blood, like it's in you now. There's no, your
It's
whole, like,
changing. You don't get
it's
that
changing.
release.
So any parts that were silenced when you were performing, playing the maiden, having to choke on your own shame or silence yourself in order to be palatable enough
Compliant.
for spaces that, especially corporate spaces, like the women that I work with in corporate, I'm just like, my God, the ways that they had to morph in silence or only be in their masculine energy in order to get
Right.
shit done, where there wasn't any space allowed for, not that feminine is soft, feminine is fierce too, but you know what I'm saying, where there wasn't any space for that. I'm like, some of this snapping out, can you have more grace for yourself? Because some of this is versions of yourself coming up now to be like, fuck that, I'm about to be free.
Yes. Woo!
And in Western society, we don't have, it's starting to shift because people are starting to reclaim indigenous ways
Mm,
from every lineage, right? But there isn't these, we don't honor the thresholds. We don't honor the
right.
thresholds. I mean, maybe in the West you'll see it with quinceañeras for women that are, young girls who are 15 going to, but even that, it's still like framed in this kind of patriarchal thing where it's like, oh, now she's pretty and ready to be property for
And a
somebody, right?
woman. Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like there's not these thresholds. Whereas in other cultures, there's these thresholds, there's these honorings of these transitions. And actually,
Yes.
women in midlife are considered the empresses. Like they are the ones that it's like, boom, I honor you, I rever you. The lived experience that you have, the wisdom that you are now holding, and no longer is it going anywhere.
Mm,
It's it's a reclamation, right?
that's a
So
good word for it. Yes.
it's a
I'm here
reclamation
for
of
the
our voices.
reclamation.
Yes, of our voices, of our bodies, of all of it. And at first it is a fucking unraveling and it's uncomfortable.
Yes. I love everything you said. One of the things, so I never wanted children. So I always felt like my period was kind of wasted on me. It's like, what do I need a period for? So, what I've since come to discover in perimenopause, where I will go up to 3 months without bleeding, is oh, the period was such a release. While it's great not to have a period, I'm not getting the release. So I'm stuck in the rage that used to be like 2 or 3 days a month that will last for epic expanses of time. And nobody prepared me for that. I just thought I was looking forward to no blood. But what I wasn't prepared for was all the feelings that would be a continuum for days and weeks and months. And I am invited to reclaim myself in a new space where it's not so pretty and it's not so contained and it's not so compliant. And what does that look like? And I'm sure anyone watching or listening who worked with me at my last corporate job will be nodding their head as I say this. I'm sure that's part of the reason I quit my job because I was like, I can't be compliant in this environment. Maybe when I was younger, I could have.
Yep.
Like I really look at that and I'm not sorry for any of it. It all
Yeah.
needed to happen exactly as it was. But this 54-year-old woman wasn't having it.
Mm, I love it. I
Yeah,
love
I love
what
it
you,
too.
yes. And I love what you spoke into about like there is no release, right? And it
Yeah.
does require us to, well, oh, that's what I was gonna say. I think the cycle, right? Because we do rotate with the moon in that way. For me, and I'm still bleeding right now, but it's unpredictable.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It's
it used to.
unpredictable.
And so at first, when this first started happening, the extremes of it, like I was like, what is happening? I was going to dark places. I was like, why am I thinking so? What is going on? And I've been challenged with depression for most of my life, but this was
Yeah,
something different.
it's
I
different.
was like, and so I was like, what the fuck is this? And I asked my mom, she's like, I don't know. Like there's this, she's like, I kind
God
of feel
bless
my
the
life like that.
mamas. My mom
My
used to say
grandma
the
don't
same
remember
thing.
nothing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Oh,
helpful.
menopause was easy. My dad would say a different story.
Right, right, right. And so it's almost like you're like, it's a whole nother drawing board of like, who am I? I'm not predictable anymore with my own cycles.
Yes. And the emotions that come with that, the unpredictability. We have been in these bodies for decades. We know what it feels like to be anxious or depressed or hormonal or whatever. And to have that experience shift, it's like you don't know what's safe. At least for me, I'm going to speak for myself. I don't know safe places. I don't know what's going to cause me to snap. I don't know how I'm going to react. I don't know how to handle. Like people used to say, it was like I felt like I was crawling out of my skin. I now understand what that feels like. And we were sharing before we got on and hit record, like I'm in a season where I know how to hustle, and I am constantly reminded that this is not the season for that. Yes, I can hustle, and I'm better served by slowing down because I cannot predict so many things.
Mm,
My energy
mm,
levels, my moods, a lot of it. And I'm better served by slowing the hustle. I can still hustle, but like not at that same pace. And I don't need to, I don't have to. So why am we were talking before, like I'm a little addicted to it. So that's on me. And that's
yeah.
my lesson in this season.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. It is on you. And it's also, yes, we take radical responsibility. At the same time, we recognize that it's also being a part of a system that rewards the hustle and the burnout over
Yeah.
radical care for ourselves. And I feel like part of the gift of midlife, at first it feels like a curse, but part of the gift is that it demands us to be in more intimate relationship with our bodies,
Yes, it
with our
does.
breath, with checking in with like, ooh, what do I need in this moment? What do I need today? Like you said, it's unpredictable. We don't know how what is really true for me now. I feel like 3 years ago for me, everything kind of, not even 3 years ago. Well, it started 3 years ago. And then a couple years ago, everything out of the blue kind of just felt, all the ways of me going for things and doing things and da 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 da, like everything fell out of my life, right? And so
Yes.
I was just like, who am I when there
That
isn't a
identity,
certain,
that confronting identity crisis.
right? Who am I when there isn't a certain number of zeros in my bank account? Who am I if I'm not winning the accolades with the acting or getting these certain roles? Who am I if I'm not in a relationship yet and I'm not da 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 da? It's like all of these ways in which we have been conditioned to think of ourselves as worthy. And also the ways that up until midlife gave us satiated that, right? Where it was like, yeah, this is me. This feels good. Like
Yes.
nothing's wrong with those things. And then it's like, wait a minute, who the hell is this woman staring at me in the mirror? And every single day there's like new wrinkles joining her face. And, and we're
The
in,
white, the white chin.
where'd you go, honey? Oh, there you are. You're here. I can see you. Uh-oh. Where'd you go, Lisa? Where'd you go, mama? I think you're still recording. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, that's weird. We're recording, technical glitch. I got kicked out.
Yeah, there's energy was like, don't you talk about yourself like that, Lisa.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So I want to make sure we cover this because I think this is important. Like finding, not just as an actress, the embodiment practices. So you and yoga, Kundalini yoga, and you in sensual liberation coaching. How does that support you midlife? And then how do you support your clients? I want to hear a little bit about your coaching practice.
Found Kundalini, God, I don't know, a long time ago. It's been about a decade now. And Kundalini for me really brought me in different relationship with my body and my breath, and recognizing my body as one of the highest technologies, period. Kundalini is also life force. If you think of chi, if you think of prana, if you think of, it's represented symbolically as like a snake coiled at the root that gets woken up through the breath and then rises all the way up, right?
Okay.
So it's like you are the bridge between heaven and earth.
Okay. Ooh.
When so it starts to really wake up places in the body that may even shut off from trauma, um voice. And when you start, it changed my life, because when I really started to do that practice, anything that was not authentic in my life started to fall off, including the relationship I was in, including the ways I was still lying to myself about things.
Wow.
Because when you have a clear channel in the body, it becomes very clear, as within so without, right? It becomes very clear what is not true, that you're
What's not aligning?
continuing
Absolutely.
to choose to be in relationship with. So then you come into the awareness like, oh, I really am the chooser. I am choosing this, right? What am I getting out of choosing something that is still not actually nourishing or life-giving them?
Wow.
And sometimes we can't answer that question from here. So Kundalini has become a tool that I use with my clients as a way for them to come into deeper relationship with their eros. And eros, as Audre Lorde talks about, lives on a spiritual plane. In the West, it's been distorted into sexuality only, pornography, the extraction,
Lust. Yeah.
like all the things that are around, oh, this is for somebody else, or this power in me is to get something, right? That wounded feminine energy. But when you start to reclaim that in your body for yourself, and you start to come into deeper relationship with it, it's so incredibly healing. And also, I find a lot of women in midlife, and this is the only warning I got about midlife. It's like, oh, girl, your libido's gonna go down. I was like, first of all, I ain't got nobody to ride on a daily basis right now anyway. I ain't worried about that. My libido, not like, I will always find a
Nice. You
way to
got life
generate
force
energy
going.
for myself. It's life force energy.
Yes.
So Kundalini is very important with that. So with certain clients, no, they might not want to do like a whole 90-minute session of Kundalini, but there's certain breaths where I'm like, oh, your body's feeling sluggish today. You need to wake it up. Here's the breath of fire. There's certain movements. As
Mm.
women, we hold so much tension in our hips, so much in this pelvic bowl. And it's like 3 minutes a day of taking a moment to be in intentional relationship with your breath and your body will change your life.
Wow.
And then when you think about it, whether you still have a physical womb or not, the womb is directly connected to the throat, which has to go through the heart. So if your sensuality is cut off, if and your sensual energy is your creative energy, right? This isn't just about sex. If
Right.
your it's creation energy.
It is.
If your
Yes.
sensuality is Yeah, if your sensuality is cut off, your voice, your authentic voice is cut. And so a lot of women will come to me and they're like, oh, I just want to feel like I can really speak my truth. Or
Yes. I
I'm like,
think
listen,
especially midlife, we're waking up. If we haven't already, there's a desire to use our voice, but sometimes we're so disconnected to your point. So how do you help bridge that? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It is more, again, I take women through certain, it's like, how do I put this into words?
I'm
I
feeling
take
it.
them through Kundalini practices, and
Yeah.
I also guide them through actually, you know, to the outer eye, it might like, oh, they're just like dancing slowly. It's like, no, there's intentional movement I take them through, but I also remind them that they are their own guru, meaning you come into a different listening relationship with your body and your inner world, and you start to ask it how it wants to move, what needs to be
Mm,
released, and we really take time and you start to explore things. And if you think about, water holds memory. Your body is made up of mostly water. Even you can go to talk therapy for years, and I highly recommend it, right? But you will keep looping into the same patterns
right.
until you actually tap into the subconscious, which is the body. The body holds the memory. So it's something that sometimes I don't need to sit and talk to you about it. We just need to go directly to the source and allow it to be voiced, with sound. Allow it to be breathed, allow it to be moved. And that's a deep listening. With group programs, it's like, yes, I'll take you through, boom, and we find a way. But one-on-one, we get to go really deep.
Mm,
Like, for instance, I had one client who, she was in a group program. It was called Sacred and Sensual. This was a couple years ago. Midlife. She had something she had never told anybody outside of her family that had happened to her as a child from her father. Well, she was still living in the house because he was the breadwinner of the family. They were an immigrant family, what have you. She had all these autoimmune diseases. Nobody could figure out what it was, what it was, what it was. Meanwhile, she's a talented artist, someone who used to love to sing and what have you. We started doing somatic work and working with some Kundalini practices. And the way she described it, she was like, all of a sudden, she's like, I didn't even know it was there. It was like, it felt like shackles came off of my throat. And the biggest thing is that she finally shared the truth with the group. She
whoa.
allowed the truth to be spoken for the first time with strangers, basically. I mean, I can create very safe containers, it's confidential, right? And when she spoke the truth and named it, it set her free, but it had to also be paired with her listening to her body and letting it out of the body.
Yes.
So she went from that. Now her dis-ease is gone in the body. She is teaching voice. And it's so rewarding to witness a woman come back home to herself, her body, her truth, and finally let go of the trauma that was never hers to keep hold onto. She might not have had a choice, obviously, in what was done to her, but later we do get a choice with the support of each other
Yes.
to let go of it and no longer be held hostage by it. So
Oof.
I don't know if that really,
It does.
it's hard to talk about the work and like, then we do this, then we do this.
No,
Like,
this
okay.
is such a beautiful example. And also I have Hashimoto's, so I have unproven theories about autoimmune stuff and voice, unspoken stuff, and eating disorder stuff. I believe they're all very intrinsically connected, especially if you had an eating disorder as a teenager. I think that's where my autoimmune stuff began. So I feel like it's the coming back to self and feeling safe in the body and creating a different dialogue and connection and story and relationship with the body and letting go of like that secret or whatever it is. I think it's all so related. And I don't think that's just for me. So I love this work. I love that you're doing this work.
Thank you for sharing your story too, Lisa.
My gosh, of course.
That's another thing with midlife. I know we got to move on because I
Yeah,
could talk to you forever,
I
honey. But what you said about in your younger years and with the eating disorder, it's like what I'm finding in midlife too. It's like these younger versions are coming back to me, but because I have the lived experience and have done a lot of the healing work, and my grown woman self now can meet them in a different place. They're like, hey, I know that this part was born out of trauma, but don't forget about all these other parts. Don't forget about the 15-year-olds who had no doubt, like that there was a whole adventure of life in front of her. Don't
Yes.
forget about the girl who, like, would stand up for anybody and,
Yes.
who had no fear. Like, even though at that same age these horrific things happened,
Yes.
now we get to reclaim the parts that may have been fragmented off from that and be like, oh no, you get to come.
Exactly. It
You get to
wasn't
come home. You get
all,
to
it's
come.
not black and white, it's shades of gray. It wasn't all bad. There were parts of us that believed in the magic, all these things. And I'm having a unique experience because um my eating disorder started when I was 12, 13, and my mother would not help me, and literally teachers
Mm.
called her and said your daughter needs help, and my mother refused to help me. And so now I'm dealing with a 14-year-old niece who is very health conscious and doesn't have an eating disorder, but asks a lot of questions about how can I maintain my weight and how can I blah blah blah, and like will text SOS I ate pizza and oh my god. And we have very thoughtful conversation, and I'm like, girl, it's not black and white. Enjoy that pizza, enjoy that cake, you earned that. Remember, it's like just eat healthy tomorrow, like it's okay. And like for to hear the relief she feels, and the even over text in these conversations, that's like one of the reasons I didn't want kids was I didn't want to be my mother. And so the reminder in those moments that like, oh, I'm not repeating the pattern that I was given. I'm changing my own narrative, and that's healing. And I see how her 14-year-old self is feeling seen and supported rather than rejected and unheard. You know, it's such a gift. And so I love what you're saying about like all these parts of us come back to us midlife. And I'm so grateful because it's helping me heal those parts of me by choosing a different path than my mother and I had in our dynamic.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm so grateful she has you.
I'm so grateful I have her. I'm grateful she has me, but I'm like, girl, and I tell her all the time, I'm like, you made me so much better. Thank you. Like you changed my life. It's so beautiful. So I have loved this conversation. I want to thank you for being here. Ooh,
My
Diahnna,
pleasure.
I knew we'd go to beautiful places. Just I want to pause and ask if there's anything else you want to share from your own midlife experience, something that's beautifully surprising. You've shared so much. I love the reconnecting with the other versions of yourself. Or if you have a thought for someone who might be waking up midlife and not quite prepared.
Mm. I feel like waking up in midlife and not quite prepared. Mm. I think finding spaces of community and other women that you finally allow yourself to be held. And I think forgiveness, because there's forgiveness for yourself,
Yes.
because there it is a space, this liminal space of like uncertainty. All of a sudden you don't know how your body's going to react. All of a sudden, like you're having these different emotions come up. All of a sudden the rage is coming up. All of a sudden the depression might come in, and like body's changing. It's like, I don't know, for me I know, especially as women who are like, recovering overachiever here, right? Like, and also just ambitious. Let's claim it. Fuck it.
Right.
It's fine
It's
to be
both.
ambitious.
It can be both.
Like, ambitious women, it's like, can you have even more grace for yourself? Because you're not going to be able to approach your life in the same way. And eventually you'll start to see it as a gift. It is a threshold of really allowing ourselves to finally be held rather than being the one that holds it all together.
That was for everyone and for me in this moment. So thank you.
Mm,
Oh,
yes.
Diahnna, thank you for joining us in midlife. I look forward to continuing the adventure together. What a
Yes.
just a soulful, deep conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I can't wait to see you soon for the
I know,
screening.
yay! I know. I need to get back to everybody on that. For everyone who's joining us today, please let us know what you resonated with in this conversation. It was deep, it was juicy. We went to some beautiful places, and we want to know what is resonating for you. Continue your journey midlife, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye, everyone.